Now, joining me now, I'm very pleased to say, is Pierre-Henri Dumont, the Member of Parliament, Republican Member of Parliament for Calais. Pierre-Henri, welcome to GB News. Thank you very much indeed for coming on this show. I visited the jungle a few years ago, so I know that Calais has really had some very difficult problems for a long time. But isn't the truth of it, Pierre-Henri, that what you're now doing is trying to just allow those problems to come across the channel to us?
No, it's not true. What you need to understand, what the British people need to understand, is that we've got hundreds, thousands of migrants every day around Calais, not only in Calais, but around and all along the coast, from Belgium to Normandy. And it's very difficult to stop all the boats at the same time. More than 50% of the boats are stopped every night at shore before they go to sea, because we know where they are and we find them because of drones, because of technology, because of human intelligence. we can locate the smugglers and stop them before they go at sea. But when at night you've got 20, 30 boats at the same time on a very large scale, you cannot stop all of them. You can stop a part of them, but not all of them.
No, and I understand. I understand that night time, that is difficult, and I know that coastline, and a lot of it's sand dunes. But what's been happening in the last few weeks is that many of the boats that are launching in broad daylight. In fact, it's noticeable how much later in the day the migrant boats are coming. Are you telling me that the French gendarmerie cannot stop these boats being launched in bright daylight?
I don't know if you have been to the French shore, but what you need to understand is that it's not a clear land in France, especially around Calais. It's you do have cliffs, you do have trees, you do have World War II concrete buildings, so they can hide. And I saw that personally, I went with the gendarmerie, and in less than 2 minutes, they can pop from somewhere you don't know they are and go at sea in less than 2 or 3 minutes. So yes, what I'm saying to you is that even in daylight, even in a bright and wonderful sunshine, it's very difficult to stop all the boats, especially if you do have 20 or 30 boats on a 50-kilometer scale who are going at sea quite at the same time.
Okay, I put this to you. I spoke a couple of hours ago to a professional international seafarer who 2 mornings ago, in daylight, but 2 mornings ago, saw just to the west of Calais a migrant boat that was no more than 50 metres from the shore, laden with its illegal human cargo, and a gendarmerie rib that came up to that boat, made no attempt to stop it or turn it round when, frankly, they were in no more than a metre of water and they could have paddled back to shore. The gendarmerie made no attempt whatsoever to do that once they were 50 metres out. And indeed, the boat carried on, got to the main shipping channel that goes into Calais port, at which Esco, one of your French naval vessels, shadowed the dinghy all the way across till it got into British waters, and then, of course, it was our problem. I mean, I put it to you that your gendarmerie aren't trying very hard, that you've got a massive problem, as you've said yourself, mostly because of the European Union's ridiculous policy in 2015, that anybody that crossed the Mediterranean could simply stay. I put it to you that the way I feel about this, and many British people feel about this, is despite all this money we're giving you, you're not really trying very hard.
No, it's not true. I mean, more than half of the crossing attempts are stopped. But what you need to understand is that...
Prove it.
Yes, more than 50.
Prove it. Prove it. I hear this all the time. I've seen no evidence. I've seen no evidence of it whatsoever.
I do have the numbers. I wrote a paper last year for the budget in the French Parliament. I can send it to you. You will have all the data, all the numbers, so that we'll be pleased to send it to you. Well, I've got 2 things to say to you. First of all is we need to understand why all of these migrants want to go to the UK and do not want to stay in France or in some other part of Europe. The fact is, if you take a look at what their nationality are, You do have people from Sudan, from Iraq, from Eritrea, from Bangladesh. All of these are former British colonies. All of this. So
I don't think that connection's very strong, and I can promise you, having met with hundreds of people, very few speak English. Very few speak English, I promise you.
The fact is, they are coming from former British colonies. Mainly, the majority of them are coming. I don't say they speak a full perfect English as you do, but a majority of them are coming from former British colonies, meaning that sometimes they've got a lot of relatives in the UK, because in the UK it's different than in France. It's easier for undocumented people to work in the UK than to work in France.
But none of this is the point. The point is, it is an illegal trade. And yes, of course, they all claim refugee status. But as you know as well as I do, refugee status was clearly defined back in 1951, and you claim it in the first safe country you come to.
No.
That has been the international agreement since 1951.
I'm sorry, but I heard this point a lot of time, especially in the British part of my speaking people, but there is nothing as the first safe country in the Geneva Convention. That does not exist.
I'm really sorry. I'm really sorry.
In the Geneva Convention,
Pierre-Henri Dumont, there is a United Nations refugee charter, and all of that, which I think France is still a signatory to, unless of course you're the rogue state, not us as many accuse, and that has been the convention, ever since 1951. And you're saying that's not the case, yeah?
No, I'm saying that there is nothing in the Geneva Convention on refugees on claiming asylum in the first safe country. And just let me give you the data. If you take a look at the data on refugees and asylum seekers, in France, we had 4 times more asylum seekers last year than in the UK. Why?
Well, of course, because of European Union policy, as I say, and I was there in the European Parliament. I watched this policy being unveiled, and you have said to anyone that crosses the Mediterranean, you can stay.
No, we are not saying that. We are just giving... we are not talking about people who can stay. We are talking about people who are asking for asylum, who are applying for asylum. Applying for asylum is basic human rights. Then the country is going to say yes or no. Yes, you can stay, or no, you need to go back home. And yes, in France, we have a problem to send them back home if we are denying them asylum, as every country in the world, because the country where they're coming from are not eager to take them back.
So should we send everybody back to France then? Would that be the answer? Because very few of those that come would genuinely qualify as refugees. How would you react if we? And I have a feeling here that the only way we're going to stop this is if we do what the Australians did back in 2012 with Indonesia and simply tow the boats. I mean, clearly your navy actually is going to continue. Say thank you very much for the £54 million, is going to continue to escort vessels into British waters. What if we just tow the boats back to Calais? How would you feel about that?
If you read some of my interviews, I said that I was totally against the fact that the UK is giving us money.
You were. I agree with that. But we want to stop this problem.
For a simple reason. Just for a simple reason. Because if you are giving us money to do your job, because we are keeping your frontier, your border, we are your clients. And you expect something from us, which is stopping the migrants to cross. But the fact is, that's not...
Help would be nice. And can I also ask you one other thing that doesn't get talked about enough? I mean, do you see a solution to this?
Yes. There are a British solution and there are French solutions. French solution is something I advocate for, is to create special facilities where we can retain illegal migrants in France, 100 kilometers away from Calais, and then process asylum applications. Say them, please ask for asylum in France, and then we'll see if we grant you with asylum or if we send you back to your home country. And for the British government, I think that you need to take your burden of the asylum seekers numbers in Europe.
No.
Or in the world.
No.
Or in the world. It's not a question of European Union.
I'm sorry.
Because
we are Brexit Britain. We are Brexit Britain. We do
I'm
not
talking
want.
about the.
We don't want to pay for your mistakes, do we? The fact that you've
I'm
made
not talking about.
You've made some terrible mistakes, and you're now saying we should share the burden of your mistakes, and we don't want to do that.
Because you are confusing the political Europe that was European Union, which you left, and that's the British choice to leave. I regret it, but that's your choice. I totally respect it. And you with the geographical Europe. Brexit doesn't mean that England or the UK is out of the geographical Europe. That's a fact.
Look, I tell you what, I want to say thank you for coming on and having this very spirited debate. I get a clear sense of what you think we should do. We are feeling increasingly frustrated. What is very clear to me is the numbers crossing the channel are going to increase very sharply in the next few months. So can I say thank you for coming on and talking to us, and we'd love to see you back here again, and we'll continue this debate.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much indeed.
You're welcome.
Thank you.